I hope that by now you've been persuaded that your role as an oikonomos extends far beyond financial competence and charitable giving. The Lord's fiduciary is mandated to deploy resources to fulfill God's purposes regarding the Great Commission and the Great Commandment. As we continue to understand the importance of proactive values investing, PVI, we'll now turn to some of the mechanics. Then, we can effectively implement our goals of investing as God's fiduciary. There are three main umbrellas that determine how and when the investments and earnings underneath each one are taxed. Investors need to know how these categories work so they can effectively deploy their resources. Investors also need to know more about how missional investing works in both foreign and domestic markets. There's an astounding amount of money held in the account of people who follow Jesus. These resources are rarely deployed for God's purposes, and they provide returns only for some stakeholders, usually the investor. Over time, my hope is that we can turn the drips of money directed toward God's purposes into a river that floods the thirsty earth with abundance and generosity. How can we store up treasures on earth where moths and rust can destroy them, when we could be advancing God's kingdom on earth by leveraging our resources for eternal objectives? As you study, look for answers to these questions. First, there are conventional rules of thumb that guide portfolio allocations, but what alternative standards might God's fiduciary need to consider? Second, are you better able to understand your own investment portfolio and the benefits you're receiving after reading this study? And third, where can you see yourself in Charlie and Miranda's story? To act justly, we need to overcome our areas of ignorance, as well as our emotional fears, idolization, and falsely placed dependence on investments as our source of happiness and safety. God is our provision, and we can trust Him to meet our needs while we deploy resources for His purposes. So let's get started.